We're live. We are live.
Are we?
What's up? Yeah, I think so. Are
Not
we?
coming up. I'm hitting refresh. Oh, here we go. I guess there was a delay.
Yeah, a little bit of a delay. Nothing terrible there.
All
What's up,
right.
everybody? It's Flagrant Crash again. We're here on the draw, episode number 6. We missed last week. That was all on me. I got some stuff going on the health front with my pancreas, so just having figuring that out. It's might have a pretty big decision coming up, but we'll get there when we get there. For now, uh, I have something to say about the Eliza Bleu stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about Tim, and I think Crash has some interesting news about UFOs getting shot down. But Crash, how have you been, man?
I am good. 2023 is weird AF.
It really is. The ops are real so
Yes,
far.
absolutely.
The ops are absolutely real.
I will say though, I just want to digress real quick because it is a bit on my mind. To anybody watching, if you're a praying person, pray for the victims in Turkey and Syria. That number keeps rising, and it's kind of scary, but very tragic.
That dude, that's something that really has been pointed out by a few people too. It's like we're so focused on this shit that's inconsequential.
Yeah.
While how long has Syria been going on now? It,
Syria's
it's
that's Obama years, wasn't it?
yeah, I want to say it's
Started under
a
Obama.
decade or more. And Trump just came out and spilled the beans on it. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, we're gonna get through oil. It's gonna be great." And yeah, I think it's time for people to like kind of wake up a little bit. Hopefully that's happening. There are a shit ton of distractions, um, like the Eliza Blue stuff. But so I'm going to start there. I haven't weighed in on it yet. I've made a little snippet, but nothing like super crazy.
All right. Let her
Uh,
have it.
yeah, I'm going to. Let me pull up
Okay.
this tweet that I posted real quick. Because it ties into why I want to talk about this. So,
I'm gonna mirror my camera.
yeah, go ahead, man.
Let's see if that fixes it on YouTube.
All right.
No, it didn't change it on YouTube. That is so. Why does StreamYard not do that? That's so interesting. Okay.
I don't know.
So now I get it. So it really just YouTube just displays your normal camera, but it doesn't.
Oh wow, it does. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. So it just stays the same no matter what setting I have on it. Okay. Sorry. Sidebar there.
No, it's fine. Doing things on the fly. We're professionals here.
Right.
All right. So I posted. I said, I find it weird that Eliza Bleu celebrates being a survivor. I'm sorry, but victims don't feel pride about what happened to them. It's shameful, tumultuous, and deadening when it's thought about. But if they're at a point to blast it, they should be at a point to talk about it. So we're going to get into a little bit of the history of me, and it's not pretty. And it's one of the reasons that one of the things I focused on a lot with this whole thing, because when Eliza was on Timcast last time, like
All
I
right.
got a
Hold on,
vibe.
Cam. Hold on. Sorry to
Okay,
interrupt.
no,
I got
it's
to
fine.
get in my, like you said, I'm going to be your counselor. Let me get my notepad one real quick.
All right. Yeah, it's going to be good times. We're going to get into some origin story.
Go. All right, so I got to get kind of propped up.
Yeah, you got to put your feet up and.
That's right. All right, so tell me,
All right.
how do you feel about Eliza Bleu, Cam?
Eliza Bleu is, in my opinion, a lying scumbag parasite who is feeding off of a cause and a movement that is trying to help people who have been victimized by horrible people. And the reason, yeah, I mean, it really does make me mad because um, I had some very not cool stuff happen to me when I was younger. And it's not, no, it's not trafficking, but it falls into that same category of abuse and exploitation of kids and stuff, which is what Eliza Blue's been parading on. She's saying she's this big advocate and she's been through all this stuff. And, we come to find out that it sounds like from her most recent tweets that she considers people sharing her images as exploitation, which is ridiculous because she lives in a public sphere. She is a public figure now. The video that she had taken down, it was a public video. Um, but it makes me mad because the tweet I just read, that is how it feels. You're not happy about what happened to you. You're not proud of what you did, or what not what you did, but you're not proud of what happened. Even if you came out of it stronger and better, you you look forward and you try to keep moving and you try to do the better things that you can for you. But the way that she's just exploiting the people who have been through a lot of stuff is it's fucking gross. And the more stuff came out, because I remember talking to you on Front Porch about, um to me it feels like Eliza, she was just a scene girl for My Chemical Romance, and then she she tried to be basically a Cardi B, but she had all the privilege so that her story wasn't going to fly because she had a politician for a parent, a dean at a school for another parent, grew up on a big farm. Basically had everything handed to her because I mean she's running around with My Chemical Romance for her whole teenage career, and from the looks of things, she just did what she had to do for fame. And because I remember in one video that Farron pointed out, I think her and Chrissy were talking about it, that she made the very clear distinction: survival sex is not exploitation. And so what she was saying is, if you're doing it for your benefit, it's fine. And to me, that's all she did, because she kept pushing she pushed the video. She kept trying to get on these dating shows. She was a dancer for Steve Harvey, I think.
Or
Like
it was it was kind of a tryout or something for. I assumed it might have been America's Next Top Model since it was Tyra Banks that was there. That's what I kind of took it as.
wasn't she on America's Got Talent too?
No, or she tried out for American
Tried
Idol.
out for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, t- coming from the background of that I have, and I talked to one of my friends who went through some similar stuff, and I got their opinion on it, and they felt the same way. It's like that she's a fucking gross person. Like standing on the backs of people who actually went through stuff. It's one thing if to be an advocate and just be there for people and try to help them get through their issues. If she was doing that, nobody would care, man. Everybody would probably be cheering her on right now. But the fact that she has twisted and turned and done all these mental gymnastics to try to make herself seem like a victim of something very serious and gross, when from current accounts, it seems like she just went along with whatever she had to do to get famous because she is a fame chaser. She's a clout chaser, and it's infuriating. Like it really is. Like she's one of the grossest celebrities aside from the convicted ones, um, that I've seen, because I people like that to me they're fucking slimy. They don't give a shit. They they remind me a lot of the people in my life that I've met, that if they don't have a use for you, they don't they don't have anything to do with you. And then when you try to point out how they really are, she does what she did to Brittany, the quartering, Flash, all those guys, Fandango. She didn't want the bad press out. She didn't want the
Defango,
truth
not
out,
Fandango.
or Defango. Sorry, Defango. Um, but yeah, she tried to get the truth quashed, and it's because it's like everything looks to be bullshit. And yeah, I kind of thought that when I saw her on Timcast the last time she was on. It just seemed very scripted. She's never gone into detail about anything. Um, it's she's just a yeah, she's a cunt. Like
What I can't help but wonder, like, what she thought her end goal was with that Tim Pool appearance.
I couldn't watch all of it. Like I started watching it, and it seemed super. It seemed like such a facade, because she wouldn't, when she got challenged on some of the things talking about the Tate victims, alleged, that she's working with. She would never answer any specifics, and whenever she got pushed back on by Luke or anybody like that, she deflected. And I mean, I get it if they're like, because there is some legal stuff going on, but if they're coming out and she's got these statements from these people, why are you not talking about what the statements are pertaining to? Like you don't have to talk about stuff that's in evidence or testimony that's been put in evidence. Like you can talk about what they've talked to you about. And because she, as far as I know, isn't part of that case. She's advocating for these people supposedly.
Well,
Um,
that's where I'm getting at. Is like, at this point, obviously, I don't believe that she's even been in touch with any alleged Tate victims,
no, I don't either.
and so I'm just trying to understand what was her actual goal in regards to that appearance, because yeah, she never went into detail, but she still elaborated something pretty fantastical.
Mhm. Yeah,
You know,
and
like she claimed that she'd been working with these victims for a while, like for several months, and whatever that was supposed to mean. And that what changed was that the Romanian authorities went after the Tates without their knowledge. Like, I mean, of course, none of that really makes any sense. But I guess, but then again, that's really not my question. My question is just, what's her motive there? That's
yeah. Well,
if it
who
wasn't
was I
for what
watching?
happened with Brittany, there surely there would have been fallout from that, like at some point,
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, I think I can't remember if it was Flash or someone else, but they said she ran into uh fast fast fame, slow problems, or something like that, or fast money, slow problems, because she blew up really fast with
Hmm.
what she's doing. Gained a couple 100,000 followers in a pretty short time, and for seemingly doing not a whole lot as far as well, I mean, there's that one video where they gave her that award, and they were trying to cite her works that she done, and they couldn't find anything. The 501c3 that she was supposed to have started up, that still hasn't materialized. Um,
According
I
to her interview with Shane, that was definitely a lie. Well, although she's claimed that she didn't lie, but it was so easily disprovable.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we all know it's like that definitely was never a thing. We like,
If that were a thing, Shane Cashman would have put photos of the facility,
yeah.
because he specifically got invited to the farm where this was supposed to be. So
Well, what she tried to claim was that, oh, she just had some extra beds and basically gave quarter to some COVID refugees that, or like they couldn't work, right, because of because of lockdown, and allegedly people that she was working with through advocacy. Again, whatever the hell that means. Through my own research of this, my conclusion of her vision of advocacy is just retweeting
Yep.
headlines.
Yeah. That is a majority of what I've seen. Um, and because she's never put out a personal story. I did this today with so and so. It's just a
There is yet to be a
regurgitation.
single victim of human trafficking that has decided to step up and uh or stand up for her and say that no, she helped me out.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
would think that at least one, but no, there's not a single one.
It's actually counter that more people have said that she's kind of abandoned them, right? Because who
Yes,
was
that
it?
has come out where some people have come out and said that they have reached out to her and they often get ghosted. Ashton Birdie had a specific example where I think
Yeah,
he
it's
referred
Ashton.
somebody to her, Eliza, and uh, got ghosted.
Yeah. But yeah. To me, she's a lying, clout chasing swamp goblin who deserves to be shamed to the ends of the earth. And I know, like, we're gonna talk about the whole Tim stuff in a minute, but Tim, um, he tries to make a point like, I don't get into this memeing and shaming and blah blah blah. It's like, well, dude, how are these people going? If you don't shame these people and put them into a position where they have to correct or make amends or apologize or something, that's not going to fix their behavior. Because if they can get away with it, they're just going to keep getting away with it. If there isn't any kind of repercussion, and like back in the day when I was younger, shame was pretty fucking powerful. Like if you if you fucked up and you did something wrong, you got called out, and uh, it made you realize like, oh shit, it's not just about me. There's other people that can be affected. And like the Jack Murphy thing, like I still think he still never actually came out and said, "I screwed up. I shouldn't have done. I'm different now. I shouldn't have tried to blame these other people." He still hasn't done that.
I'm not sure that I don't know that he believes that he's done anything wrong in relation to Jack Murphy.
You talking about Tim?
Yeah.
Oh no, I just mean Jack Murphy
Oh,
himself.
you're talking about Jack himself. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jack is.
Yeah,
I mean, the
he's
playbook is actually kind of funny. The parallels, the playbook, and it pains me as someone who's started going back to church recently. to Why do they always go Christian or the claim to go Christian? Just like, oh, I found Jesus. Jesus loves me. Like,
I think a lot of I think a lot of people like that do that as a justification for doing bad things because they feel like they can be forgiven.
mm,
As long as they're forgiven, as long as they can be forgiven in their own mind by a high what they perceive as a higher authority, then I feel like that gives them more leeway for them to do what they do. Like, oh yeah, I know. I you know what? I'm good with God though, and we've talked about that. And it seems like a cop out, like a very. But then again, like you got to think too. That's a big part of the grift that's getting exposed.
yeah. Hey, bring up
The-
the tweet that I have shared right now. I've got a different tweet there than I showed you earlier.
all right.
I'm gonna go ahead and hold on. Let me bring it up on my screen so I can read it. So anybody who watches that Tug Life will see she puts a verse reference in her background on one of these letterboards, Galatians 6:7. This tweet of hers that's a couple years old popped up recently. So it says, "Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows." So I said, prayers are seeds sown. Don't pray for what you're not prepared to reap. So check out this prayer from Eliza. God, please grant me with enough influence to be attacked like ye. God, please grant me with enough creativity to be attacked like ye. God, please let me shift the culture as many times as ye. I'll use it to help kids and survivors. Promise. It's been my experience that God will answer these kind of prayers, but never in the way that you're hoping for, because He knows what your heart was when you made this prayer.
Well,
I love Tug's response because she quote tweeted me, "F around and find out, God style."
yep.
It's exactly what it was.
Yep. That is exactly what it was. And it's so ironic that was 2 years ago too, because that was when all this pandemic stuff started. That was when
Yeah,
she started blowing up.
yeah.
And yeah, I maybe this is a good thing because maybe we'll stop taking for granted so much stuff on as far as on the populist sphere or conservative sphere or whatever sphere normal people are trying to build back up to fight against the woke bullshit. But yeah, the grift game is ridiculously strong on the right now.
I think what I've seen happen, like the good that's come out of this, is that I think it is breaking people's idolatry. The one of the big problems on the right is we tend to idolize just content creators. These are just normal people. You don't need to idolize Tim Pool, Jeremy from the Quartering, Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder. They're just people.
Yep, that's true. And well, I mean that's a good lead in for for the Tim stuff. Like obviously he took a very personalized and triggered stance on this whole Eliza Blue stuff blowing up. And when I saw what was going on, like I watched the video that night where he was just flipping out on his chat, and he told, who was it, Scroats and Goats.
Mhm.
He's like, "Well, get the fuck out." Well, the thing, like he found out later, like that wasn't actually Scroats,
Yeah.
and but he completely let it go over his head on what people were asking for, and I think it's because he was not involved in any of this. He didn't have any firsthand knowledge of anything. I think he was just getting fed what other people wanted him to hear about it. And now the people who did send him some stuff that, sure, you see stuff like that where people are going after your friends, family, stuff like that, you're going to get pissed off. But I would assume Tim has been in that position before and knows, like I would have assumed he would have handled that a little bit better and known, hey, this is someone pushing against something. But the thing for me, the day that he actually came back, he circled back on it, like old Saki. Um, I was actually going to email him.
Kind of miss Saki.
Yeah, she had
She's
some
more
pretty.
entertaining than who we have now.
She just gives up.
Yeah.
Like she'll just quit. Oh, Karine, she just dips when she gets to a point to where she can't make up any more excuses. She's just out. And Ducey's good at Ducey wrecks her,
Mhm. Yeah,
but
I have a theory about 2023 and why we're seeing basically we're just seeing emotions run high amongst this fear. Like sometimes it's warranted, like with Eliza Blue, it turns out that she was lying. But I think like with the Daily Wire and Steven Crowder thing, I think a lot of things got blown out of proportion. I mean, I think that there were rights and wrongs on both sides, sure, but
well,
so there's this experiment or study that has been done. I wish I remembered the details about this. Chris Martinson, Peak Prosperity. If anybody wants to look it up, he talks about this a lot. But it's uh, He likes to reference the Smashing Pumpkins song, "Despite all my rage, I'm still just a rat in a cage," and it's kind of what the study was hinting at, where, um, if you put rats in a cage together and you put shocks in the cage, they might not know where it's coming from. They will eventually start fighting each other, even though it's impossible for the other animal to have caused the shocks. And Chris's theory is that a lot of these things, like, I mean, and we're calling them out. It's just like, yeah, that's a psyop. That's a psyop. I think there's some things that are still psyops that we're not picking up on, because
Mm.
I think there's a lot more subtle stuff that we don't understand. Is just its entire purpose is just to nudge us emotionally, just a bit, to the point where that's kind of like what I see, where like people are just kind of getting to a boiling point, and so stuff that they've been holding in, like Steven Crowder, he planned that whole thing for a month.
Yeah. Well,
So that tells me he had been holding on to it for, I mean, he actually, I mean, based on the timeline, it sounded like he'd been holding on to the grudge since the November of 2022, when the negotiations had stopped.
and it could be the whole fact that social media has just turned into a rage farm.
Yes, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was something on my mind earlier today. Was I wanted to circle that to social media. Social media itself, I think, is the thing giving us the electric shocks, because the algorithm feeds us what we're most likely to click on, and what are we most likely to click on? Rage bait,
Mm.
things that get us fired up emotionally. So I think if we're going to fight this, we gotta get off of social media as a whole. People just need to get off of that. Like,
Well,
the reason why I barely post on social media anymore, because I'm just fascinated when I watch people's interactions on there, and I'm like, how? And I just ask, like, does this person ever get outside? When's the last time this person has seen the sun? When was the last time this person even just had a hug? Because they sound like they just need a like a real
that
human interaction.
yeah, and that's one thing too. Like maybe they don't need to completely cut out social media. We definitely need to get back to a point to where we are getting personal and socializing with people, and like getting those interactions of face to face, human contact, building relationships again, um, going going out with friends, family, like because it's crazy how much that has died off. Like a l- I talk to my parents pretty regular, but I had like I have family all around me. I don't hardly see them,
Mhm.
and it's crazy. Like what 40, 50 years ago, people took care of their grandparents. The kids of parents took care of their parents whenever they got older, and it wasn't anything looked down upon. It's just like it's what you did. And because if your parents nurture you, they raise you, hopefully you get brought up in a good household, and you become something, um, or at least can contribute in some way and build your own stable life. But I would never. I don't know. I couldn't see myself trying to force my parents into a facility or something. Like it. I don't. To me, that's that smells a lot of like super selfishness.
Mhm.
Like you're not willing to sacrifice your time for others. And if we're not, that's one thing I brought up a while back too. Like if you're not willing to sacrifice for the next generation or other people, what are you actually contributing? Because everyone's going to die. It is inevitable. You will die. You are not going to be here forever. So, are you making things better for just you, or are you trying to make things better for the people who follow you? And I think social media, all this clout chasing and money printing, and like the whole system, man, the whole system just incentivizes people to just not care anymore, and not try to take care of themselves as much as they should, especially not take care of others. like they should. And it's definitely creating some degradation.
Yeah, I mean, it saddens me that the church is itself is as guilty of this as anybody else. I mean, with many of my Christian friends that I've talked to, we've all just come to agreement that the church as a whole. So, like, yeah, of course there are exceptions. I'm going to a church that I think is pretty good right now, um, but a lot of them, I'd say the vast majority of them, uh, they're either just very complacent and their only focus is just getting enough funds raised so that they can stick around. Or some of them have gone woke. Sadly,
Yeah.
they've just been totally infiltrated. Um, but yeah, there's just no. I don't know. There's just this thirst out there amongst our generation, especially in the generation right uh, beneath us, Gen Z, uh, for that community. But and then a church should be a place where that could be provided, but in many places it's not.
Well, whenever you've got religion changing their ideologies just to cater to more people,
Mhm.
like where are your principles at then? You either believe in the core tenets or you don't. Like, now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think you could. I think it's more about the community aspect. Like, you don't have to have a church to have a community, but how many community centers do you see now?
Right.
Like, how many towns can you go to where there are events for peoples on a semi-regular basis? Um, everything is so detached and just personalized and just personal space. And
Hey,
being,
Welsh.
I was watching there.
Yeah, you just said what up.
What's up, Welsh?
All right, excuse me for
We're
just 1 second. The dog
never.
wants to leave the room.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, man, you missed it. I opened up about some flagrant history and lore, and ugh, God, that's yeah. I think it's really cool what Chrissy did the other night too, holding that short stream for fundraising.
Yeah, my
That
goodness,
actually,
$2,500. That's
yeah,
insane.
that actually went to a charity,
Yeah,
not not Chrissy. It went to a
exactly.
charity. Like,
God, the Eve's Angels thing, that one really bugs me, and it bugs me that because Eliza Bleu gets so much coverage, this other woman, uh,
and
that
Dunwall, Annie Dunwald,
Annie Donwald, yeah,
Donwald, yeah.
is not getting that much attention, even though she may very well. This is just my opinion. So she wants to come after me for libel or slander or whatever. Of course, I expect the evidence to be presented or something. But so far, it looks like it's possible that she could be guilty of charity fraud or some form of that. I don't know what the correct legal term would be. Um, but that whole thing with the roof, which is actually a gutter,
Yeah,
$50,000 at around the same time as her uh, lawsuit settlement or
yeah, from her
lawsuit judgment,
mhm. Yeah.
and being close to the same amount. Yeah,
When Frank posted that video and she went outside, I'm like, what's wrong with I didn't even I thought where the gutter had fallen, I thought that was just a post holding the roof up. I'm like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
I know, right?
Like, there's no damage. And then I was like, "Oh, a
Exactly.
gutter? Seriously? Like, grab some fucking nails."
Like you could barely see it, like except for Frank pointing that out. Like if I just saw that video with no context, I'd be like, "What do you mean the roof fell off?"
Yeah.
Like one, she comes out from underneath the roof for one, right? Like she's in
Yeah.
the building and is not, dressed up in extra layers because it's cold outside, right?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's just the silliest video. There's just Doesn't make any sense.
It like the grift. The grift is
Yeah,
the
the
good
grift
thing is I
isn't
think
just in the podcast sphere. It's I mean,
yeah, that's true. It's
nonprofits are a huge grift. They're safe havens for rich people.
mhm.
Like they don't. There's lots of nonprofits that just don't do anything but yeah, work as tax havens. And
a lot of charities for veterans are complete fucking ripoffs.
yeah,
They like 94% of the funds go to the the people running.
administrative
Yeah,
costs. Yeah,
administrative costs. Like what the hell? Like I'd rather go give a dude $20. And
it'd go a lot further.
yeah, exactly. It it's
See,
fucking gross, man.
highness.
Hey, what's up, Z? Oh, she's talking to Welsh.
Oh,
Whoops.
okay. We'll let them chat.
Yeah, we'll let them chat. Um, but yeah, so the one good, like I think the right or the non-left has caught on
Yeah,
to this grifting nature a lot faster than the left because the left is still wrapped up in that cult mentality mindset. It's like if you step out of line, you're the enemy now. But
hi Z.
hey, Z.
It's good to see you.
um, yeah, and I think that's because there you have a lot more people with nuanced views who are vocal and will express their criticisms of things. And you've got some people who go full autist mode and dive into people who they think are fishy, and then it gets pointed out and it catches traction. I think it catches traction a lot faster on the non-left side than it does the um, cult left. I mean, look at the Young
Hmm.
Turks. Like they're still going. Their numbers have dropped a lot, but they've still got like a reach somehow. And all they do it's propaganda all freaking day. Oh, dude, did you see where Chank was on Patrick Bet David?
No.
Because you know who Jimmy Dore is.
Yes.
You know Jimmy got uh he got a jab and he got injured, and um, Chank just flat out said, "No, he didn't. He's lying. He's doing that for numbers." It's like, dude, I'm pretty sure that's libel.
Uh, I mean, I think it meets some. It could meet some elements. Like I said, I'm not a legal expert, but you also have to prove damages technically as well. If it doesn't damage the reputation to the
Or
point where you actually lose money, then
maybe
it
not
doesn't.
libel, but defamation.
Yeah, it is a defamation of character, but I don't know that Jimmy Dore would necessarily have a case. Because well, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not gonna try and pretend to be one.
Yeah, we're all. Oh, dude, yeah. See, and that's one thing that pissed me off about Tim's thing too. He doesn't get in this e-girl drama stuff, and he talks about nobody knows who Eliza Blue is. A lot of people don't fucking know who Hassan Piker is.
Yeah.
If you're not on the left, you probably definitely don't.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's a big crock of bullshit. But it, so anyway, I was going to email Tim that day whenever he actually turned around and just say, "Hey, dude, we want you because you're pro free speech, you're pro you're anti censorship. That's what we want you to look into. Like we don't give a shit about the drama either. We know she's a grifter. You
Yeah.
know she's a grifter. And so what if you had her on the show, man? We don't care. Like look into the objective thing that we want you to look into because that's what we come to you for. That's what like I think a large part of his base yeah, the dim tool. Um but I I know some people think Tim like has no impact and I can't agree with that at all because he is good at what he does. Yes, he aggregates news, but he does give a more balanced and fairly framed view of things. And he calls out on the left and the right on how they frame things and what they're leaving out. And I mean, honestly, I know Tim says, uh, in this space, you don't owe anyone anything. You don't owe these creators anything. You don't know these people. I actually have to thank Tim Pool, because if it wasn't for Tim, because I started watching him like 4 or 5 years ago, like not too long after my surgery. And if it hadn't been for me picking up on Tim, finding interest in what he was covering and how he was exploiting, or not exploiting, but um, reporting things that were out there in a balanced light, I would have never watched the episode with Gary. If I had not watched the episode with Gary, I would not have started watching Friday Night Tights. If I had not started watching Friday Night Tights, I would have never gotten to meet Chrissy Mayer. And that Chrissy is how I got all of this stuff started.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually do have to thank Tim for that. Yes, it's a big long chain of butterfly effect shit, but if it hadn't been for him, it might have never happened.
I mean, I actually, uh, if I go down my chain of where it started for me, it's actually Ben Shapiro for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and primarily because of his uh, legal insight, because he is, while not a practicing attorney, he has been in the past or has that experience. So it was a good friend of mine from high school just told me about him, and he said like I really like him because he just sticks to what's legally right, and he kind of takes out the extra chaff around it and breaks it down.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I still like the Daily Wire, even though they're they're
Yeah.
2 steps short of being neocon. But uh, yeah, let me see. Hold on.
Yeah, I want to. Oh
Yeah,
Welsh.
thanks.
The fact that Tim Pool sold himself out by defending Eliza, and the fact that he deleted some of the articles and made his chat members only. I didn't know he did that. Um, Only shows he's nothing but a little bitch boy for Eliza. So I'll say with the chat, to I mean, I can understand that, because there are definitely a lot of troll bot accounts just spamming and spamming and spamming. But there were also members who were like, "Hey, what's going on with this Eliza stuff?" Um, and I'm glad he turned it around. I Hopefully he does what he says, and he brings Chrissy on, and then he tries to get. Well, I think Brittany got her stuff rescinded, didn't she?
She she's been permanently disinvited entirely because of Cassandra, and I think he made it clear that it wasn't that he didn't want to have her on. It's that because there's this beef between them now, he just thinks that
I
there's he just sees a risk in it, I guess, and I can kind of get that, you know.
Yeah, but I can't. I, I couldn't go along with, because my big thing is, and Brittany and him pointed this out. It said that Brittany had disparaged Cassandra, and she hadn't. Cassandra went at her first, and I can't remember what tweet thread it was, but um, yeah, Cassandra definitely fired the first shots on that.
Oh, absolutely. But unless I mean, I think just Tim just sees the risk of having them two in the same space, so he
Yeah,
doesn't. Whether he agrees with Cassandra or not, like even if he disagrees with Cassandra, or is even if he's upset with her about it, I think they have a long history. I don't, that's not going to be enough for him to like let her go or anything. He's going to
no,
keep
no, no, no.
working there, and
It,
she's certainly done. I think that she's done great work with Tim Cast.
yeah, she's pretty good at what she does, but
Yeah,
this, like, it's like Tim, Tim's been bringing up, like, we're doing all this fighting amongst ourselves when we agree on 99% of everything, and we're just letting this 1% get in between us, which I think is something that the system definitely wants, because, like, part of my black pill thing is, like, we're going to split. You're going to have the cult over here, and you're going to have the independent critical thinkers on the other side. And right now, the side that's building up this independent movement is they're starting to slowly fraction off from the system that the left wants to keep in control. Like,
But why a black pill? I consider that a good thing. We need that fracture.
because I think that split is going to inevitably end up in conflict. Because I look at it from the WEF perspective. The What would you say is the number one problem that's keeping the WF from completely taking control right now?
I'd say that there are more guns than people in the US.
Yeah, well, like I'd say it's the middle class, the American middle class,
Mhm.
and the establishment here has been trying to chip, and chip away at that. So, as far as what's fractioning off from the establishment cult wokey stuff, it's more middle class people who work hard, try to raise their kids right, don't like all this indoctrination stuff, don't believe in mutilating kids, um, see beyond 200 years ago of history. Like they're trying to find ways to keep RCT going or CRT going, just not calling it CRT. And
Bring up
but
Outlaw's comment. You need to make me an admin or something so I can do that too.
okay.
I don't think the cult can last. They tend to set stricter standards that no one can keep up with. Now, I agree with this to a point. I think long term cults always, well, not always. Scientology is still around, but I think the majority of cults will basically just eat themselves up. The leftist cult is doing that now. That's why we have a massive walk away movement and so many, and that's why we have a bunch of grifters from the left that are now on the right. Some of the ones that came from the left, some of them are legit, I think. I'd like to think, but it certainly seems that some of them uh, are more just moving on to their next grift. Like, let's look at Karlin Borsenko, who is also trying to grift off this Eliza situation on the totally wrong side of it. It is honestly hilarious to watch that she keeps putting stuff out there. Um, but she went from the left to conservative movement of the right of the non-left, and then to the libertarian side of it. And I suspect that she'll eventually either get the boot or leave the libertarian side because she's caused fractures there. And yeah, I think eventually. I mean, they ultimately out themselves. Usually, is what
Yeah.
I think happens. So it's happened to Eliza. Um, it happened to Miss Brasenko. I'll never call her a doctor because I don't care what her degree's in. um,
Yes, Z, you are 1000% correct. There has been, and I think a lot of it's to keep that. I think it's to build a divide be, between that faction that's splitting off. And to go back to the black pill thing, like I don't know, to me it seems too similar to Weimar whenever the socialists started cracking down on the non-socialist side. And y- I
so is it
just
your worry that the cultist side will use like state power to crack down on people like us?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense. Makes sense.
definitely. Because well, like I said, the main thing that's standing between them taking complete control and the elite, the political elites and the corporate elites just having whatever say they want is the middle class and the people who call them out and don't go along with their propaganda and don't want everything presented by pharmaceutical companies or sponsored by pharmaceutical companies or presented by pharmaceutical companies. It it's I see that side because I think that side is going to get to a point where it's independent because you see it with them building up their own servers, their parallel economies going. So there's different payment processors that are completely independent from the big banks and can't be interfered with. So, I mean, hopefully a split could happen and there could be some kind of reconciliation at some point. But for me, I see it more as one side's going to go this way, the other side's going to go this way. One side, their political structure is going to completely collapse. Their infrastructure is going to collapse. Their food supply is going to collapse. And it ain't going to be the people who tend to take care of themselves and do what needs to be done to take care of their families and their communities. So once the side that starts struggling gets desperate, I think that's when that is the rife time for conflict. Because my buddy works in special ops and he said, dude, the number one predictor of a huge civil war is when people can't feed their families anymore.
Yeah.
And I I'm totally black pilled on it because I I don't know why, but my brain thinks there's too many coincidences and uh, there's too much separation and not enough attempts at joining back together or reconciliation between the two sides. And the thing that pisses me off is it's all fucking political theater for the politicians because 70% of them, 80% of them, they go have dinners together. They talk about sports, they hang out, but as soon as they step in front of a camera, you got to be paying. You got to be selling that grift. And I don't know if like for me, I couldn't I couldn't be like if I were in that position, I don't know, man. I'd have a hard time wanting to hang out with people who are pro child mutilation or um, think that injustice is done every day, no matter what, just because of your skin color. And it's if everyone could just drop the bad your side's the bad guy narrative and start talking about things that actually matter, like what's happening with our money supply, what's going on with the food, why can't we support ourselves anymore, why are these laws that keep us from supporting ourselves, like oh you can't own chickens in certain places anymore, like then there would be a serious change. But as of right now, I don't think there's enough push for that.
Well, I I think I agree with you there, except that I take it as a white pill, not a black pill, because I rem- I told somebody once that I actually wanted more hardship to come upon the rest of us because I
Mhm.
knew that that's what would wake people up.
Yep, you're
People
right.
will wake up real quick when they're hungry.
Yep.
A lot of this the woke bullshit will just will disappear like overnight if the shelves are empty at the grocery store.
Well, the thing is though, I still think that's going to lead to conflict because yes, people will wake up when they realize that they're hungry. The people who don't know how to fix that problem themselves are going to turn into bandits. And the people who think, "Well, wait a minute, no, this should just be provided to me." Those people aren't going to change. They they think, "Oh, I should be able to go to the grocery store and get what I want." They think it'll always be like that. Like in their mind, I don't think they've ever thought, "Oh shit, I've got to take care of myself." And that like to me that would be a hard mentality to break and recondition. Hey, what's up? Good night.
So good night. I don't
Yeah,
know. I
it's
guess we'll see how it plays out when it actually comes. I mean, people like us have been saying that the economic depression's been on its way for a long time,
yeah,
and
yeah, and
I don't know how it's still staved off, to be honest. And well, I know partially it's just because we're the U.S. We're not. A lot of places are really feeling it already overseas.
That's what I'm doing, dude. Black pilled all the way. See, there's
Yeah, I think. Go
a
ahead.
chance for rebuilding redemption, but much like an addict, it requires them to hit the floor.
Yes.
Yeah, and
I mean, the
dude,
truth is that it require like it's either that or they just perish. You know, that's essentially what you're looking at, and in which case, like, there's only so much you can do.
yeah, and I mean, they got to hit the floor hard,
Yeah.
hard. There can't be any. I mean, I hate to say it, but for something for that kind of mentality, there's got to be no hope of getting back to what you thought was right. You got to realize, like, holy shit, it's gone. Because otherwise, you're gonna hold on to that little thing and like, oh no, 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 it'll get better. Oh, so dude, UFO stories. What do you got? Speaking of political ops and
I mean,
psyops.
remember back in 2020 when we had all those weird stories before the pandemic? We had the murder hornets,
Hmm.
the uh God, what
Yep.
was it? There was a lot of hold on, there was the flooding in Australia. I remember it was like one thing after the other. It feels like 2020 again, but just weirder.
Well, wasn't that Ebola too?
That's
That
right. We
was
did also have an Ebola scare.
that was like a year. Was that a year or two before pandemic? I feel like
I don't recall. I want to say it was the year before. It might have been 2018, but I don't think it was that long before. The news of that died off pretty quick. Ebola doesn't transmit very efficiently because it's so deadly.
yeah.
So its R naught's pretty low.
Well, even well back then too, they had the conspiracy theories about the UFOs because they had
Yes.
the radars. And all these guys talking about how we could ascend 10,000 feet and go down to sea level in like the blink of an eye, and you
I
had a
mean,
bunch of conspiracy theories and stuff about that.
right. But when was it? When was the declassification of a bunch of UFO related documents from the government? That wasn't that long ago.
No, that was last year, wasn't it?
That was just last year. Like when that happened, I said, I wish I could have said it on the podcast so I'd have the receipts on my prediction. But I said they are preparing us to either to something related to UFOs. The government was going to do some sort of reveal. I feel like that's what this is going to be. This is in the end. I think it's just a psyop. I think it's just to achieve their goals of one world government and control of the population. But I think that when they did this declassification, it was a precursor to just telling us, "Oh, it turns out aliens are real, and now we have to lock you down because of them or something." You know?
Yeah, like there's going to be a technology that they don't know how to handle, and it's going to decimate so many people, and they're going to be like, "Oh no, we can't do anything. We have to stay inside." It's like the nuclear crisis when the Cuban Missile
Hmm.
Crisis was going on. You hide under your desk. Like, yeah,
Right.
it's not going to help us, dude. But no, I could see that.
The
Like,
equivalent of mask, isn't it?
yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
uh, like, yeah, under your desk in in a nuclear attack is the equivalent of masks for a virus.
Hmm.
Or,
Yeah,
I should
dude.
qualify, like a cloth mask or one of those medical masks. Like, there is such thing as a mask that can actually help you with that, but it's one of those full on actually, it might even have to be full on, like, self-contained breathing apparatus. I'm not sure, if you can get one with just the filter, if that would be enough, to be honest, if you can get one
Oh, for
for that.
viruses? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the N95s, one, they have to be fitted. Um, but there's such a high chance to get infiltrate. Yeah, like because if you touch it, like you've compromised it. Um, and
Yeah, respirator, thank you, Outlaw.
after a while, just the moisture from you breathing inside of it compromises it. So the only way to be 100% safe from a virus is to be inside of a suit. And it's got to be self-contained and filtered. But nah, we can throw diapers on our faces and it'll work. It'll be good.
Oh my gosh! I swear to God, if that comes out as a recommendation, like just wear a mask, like, or just anything of that level of stupidity, I'm just done. That would be a blackpilling moment if people started to follow that. Like, come on, have we learned nothing? I mean, granted, there are still people who wear masks out in the West Coast.
There are still people who wear masks where I live, and I live in a middle of nowhere town.
Like, I think I've seen maybe half a dozen this year out of all of the people I've ever seen walking around in my area, but
yeah,
it's not very many.
The hospital here still demands it, even though didn't the CDC just release something about their efficacy?
I don't know.
Let me look that up because I swear. Let's see. Where is? Because Jimmy Dore covered it, and dude, see, this is another thing too. Like, this is why I think the non-left is going to continue to move off in its own direction, because how many people on the non-left look at people like Jimmy Dore? They'll watch Jimmy Dore, they'll watch Tim Pool, they'll watch Steven Crowder, they'll watch who's another decent lefty? Russell Brand.
I love Russell Brand.
Yeah, I do too. Let's see.
Well, while you're looking that up, to catch people up on where we are with the UFOs, we are at we have one Chinese spy balloon. We have one unknown object still that was shot down over Alaska, one over Yukon in Canada, and then there was one over Montana last night where they cleared the airspace and scrambled two F-15s to engage, and allegedly they found nothing. And that is the official story, anyways. And that is all I've been able to find. There's so far nobody's been able, like, nobody's just happened to look up and catch it on their cell phone or anything.
Yeah.
All I've seen are I've been looking for that. All I've found are a bunch of fakes, and that's the great thing about Twitter now is that the fact checks are so good. Like, it just comes right out that, like, oh no, this is an old video from this thing, or yep, that's from 2019. That's not a or this is just a fake, or this from a video game.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm kind of worried too, because I think too many people just aren't paying attention to the big issues. Like, they buy into all this UFO balloon, Chinese balloon shit.
Well, I guess the real question is how many people do you need to be awake? Because you don't need the majority. You don't need the entirety. You don't even need the majority. You will truly only need what I'm calling a significant portion of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Which I would venture to guess is somewhere around 15 to 20%, but we're probably somewhere around like 2 to 3% in reality. Is my guess. That's entirely speculation. I don't have any data to back that up. It's just what Goodnight thinks 10%. I mean, that's a lower threshold, and I would hope that would be correct.
Oh, sweet. Thank you. Where did you send it to, Outlaw?
Oh, Discord. It's on Discord.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Let me take a look at this.
That's a fair point. Good night. Our independence from the United Kingdom was less than 10%. That's true. Well, if it is, then we need the boot. If there's another Flagrant Triggers in there, we got to give him the boot
Oh,
because that'd be an imposter.
yeah, if there's another one, and yeah, it's a fakey. All right, so yeah, so 78 studies, 1 million plus participants from around the world. Yeah, surgical mass 5%, but yeah,
And that's what
researchers.
I heard was the N95s were around 30%.
Yeah,
Actually, I've never heard the 5% for the surgical mask. I've heard 0 for those, but
well, it's 30% better of 5%. So
oh, are you serious? Oh my
yeah,
gosh, that's
they
such
offer
a easy
30%
thing.
better
So that's
protection.
so that's like what, like 8% on your risk reduction or whatever? 7, more like 7, a little under 7.
Well, I guess that depends. Is it the 30% of the 5%, or is it an actual 30%?
It says 30% better protection than surgical masks. That's a skeezy thing they do with statistics all the
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
which
yeah,
means that
yes.
it's
Yeah, I'm
so you're
100%
talking
like 70%.
6.7% there.
Yeah, yeah. That's totally the way I see that. Uh, thank you, Outlaw. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, well, one thing. So I looked this up because they were forcing masks on the kids in schools where I'm at, and that's why I ran for school board last year. Um, and I started looking up some independent data on, and this was from, God, what it was, some air quality index government organization, and it actually showed studies where people who wore just surgical masks, the carbon monoxide content inside the mask was not an acceptable quality of breathable air for for an enclosed
I would
space.
love to see that study because I'm curious as to how they measured that.
They put the did you remember the video of the guy who put the tube inside his mask?
Oh, okay. So they put it like a sampling tube for
Yeah,
okay, that makes
yeah,
sense.
and
I see.
it was pulling the air from inside the mask,
Mhm.
and it actually gets to levels where it can cause hypoxia,
Yeah.
and
Well, I mean, I remember the numbers from that study. I just didn't. I never got a chance to actually look up if how they conducted it. 'Cause I mean, it was when one of my good friends in back in Kansas was getting in a lot of trouble on social media or getting a lot of fights on social media for posting that stuff. That's where I first came across it. This was back in 2020. We knew this back then. By April of 2020, a lot of this stuff we already knew. And then with the jabs, a lot of the data that's coming out now, we knew back then. And yeah, I know that there's more stuff coming out, but like there was enough out there because they were forced to release at least something that that it was enough out there to call BS on it to say like there's something wrong here. There's something seriously wrong.
yeah,
Such
see,
as like with the jabs, they sold it on a 95% efficacy, right?
yeah, yeah,
Right. But
yeah.
when you look at how they actually conducted that, it was all self-reporting. Nobody was ever uh they weren't tested on a regular basis, all of these people. Instead, it was just if they ever got symptoms, then they would get tested for COVID, and then if they got positive, then that's all the aggregation they did entirely.
Well, didn't
And they came up
they?
with the 95% based on like the control group, I think had like around 20-ish people and only like one person from the non-control group. But it was like it's such
Well,
crap.
didn't they remove people too from the studies?
Right. So that was just from that study. So like the thing I was getting at was that it wasn't an absolute risk reduction. It was a relative risk reduction.
Yeah.
Just like with the mask flyer that you put up there, that's a relative. risk reduction number that they're giving with the 30% versus the absolute, which would be like 6.67.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, we found out later that the numbers were actually worse than what was presented because they violated the rules with doing a double blind study by unblinding it or something. I don't remember the technical things that they did to screw up
Yeah.
those studies or
The
trials.
It was not a double blind at all. I think the researchers definitely knew who got what. I'm not sure about the subjects, but the researchers knew who was control and who was non-control, and then they started nitpicking.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that is not how the science works. That is not the science at all.
Well, an
Jesus
interesting
Christ.
data set that I'm surprised got out was the 6-month follow-up study for Pfizer's product, which showed zero negligible difference in deaths between the control group and the non-control group. When I say negligible difference, I mean it was like the difference between 23 people and 22 people. It was literally like just 1 or 2 difference. I am the science.
Dude, that Crowder bit was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that Anthony Fauci will probably never see any kind of serious inquiry or see any kind of punishment for what he's done is, I mean, that's gross too, man. And that goes back to people just not, they don't care enough. They're too happy being their docile little creature selves and being able to go to their convenience store and get their prepackaged.
Okay, so
com-
let me challenge you with this though. Let's say we had a significant portion of the American population that did care enough.
Mhm.
What are we supposed to do?
Uh, well, I'm leaning more and more into we have to stop focusing on national level stuff. We got to start
Hmm.
focusing more on local level policies because although the federal government, all the basically they're just the in between states police, and states have a lot of autonomy, but a lot of states, most states, are dependent on federal money, and they dangle that. And I think it's gotten to a point where states can't self-sustain because they've become so dependent on the money that they get from the government for their subsidies and kickbacks and all this bullshit and their programs.
Right. Well, let's be clear though.
Um,
When you say that states can't self-sustain, you're talking about specifically the state governments can't self-sustain because their
right.
budgets rely on that
Yeah.
revenue.
Yeah.
Because, like in Florida, well, I don't know how much money they're getting from the federal government, but I know that I got to give them props to at least having a surplus, a pretty significant surplus in their budget this year.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, I haven't fact checked that. I'm just going off of what they've told us, but yeah, something to the tune of like $21 billion in
Oh
surplus.
wow.
So uh, at least they're not deficit spending and taking out, you know, loans or issuing bonds to cover their costs like California's having. I mean, I assume that's what California is doing at this point to sustain themselves, or maybe they're getting. I don't know what they're doing, but weren't they bankrupt already? For like, how long have they been bankrupt?
Dude, I
How
don't
are they
know.
still around?
I don't know, man. Have you seen the power bills coming from California?
No.
One I saw one for 1 month. Natural gas. Natural gas. 600 and some dollars
Yeesh.
for a month.
Oh my
Dude,
gosh.
that is fucking ridiculous, man. That is
Like you can
ridiculous.
literally, or at least that there was a time. I don't know if it's still the case, but I know you in a lot of places you can rent for that amount.
Yeah, you can rent for that in my area easy.
Hmm.
Easy. And dude, why people well, actually, you know what? Northern parts of Northern California and Eastern Oregon are trying to break off. Have you
Yes.
seen that? They're trying to become part of Greater Idaho.
Oh wait, no. So that's in Washington, right? That's not Northern California. That's in Washington. That's Washington.
I think it's Eastern Oregon.
Well, it's one of those states for sure. But yeah,
Um, let's see.
it's like 4 counties.
Yeah, so the Greater Idaho Movement. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
it is
so
Oregon. Okay, you
yeah,
nailed it.
yeah, because Washington's up here in the very top corner, and the reason the groups are wanting to break off of Oregon is because all this side over here
Oh, it's
is
grown, so it's more than
all
just
it's all
four
propped up.
counties.
Yeah, it's all propped up by these people over here who are farmers and the blue collar workers. This part of the state is dictating policy that none of this part of the state wants.
Mhm. I mean,
So,
I think that's a good thing. I think it's all part of what the libertarian strategy is currently, is trying to find people to win in local elections and basically stand up to the federal government, get the budgets to where they're not taking in grants uh, from federal government or even from like the state government, so that their governors can't be holding that over their heads either. And also just nullification whenever, like, if a bad governor says, tries to do a another any kind of mandate, just take your pick, any kind of lockdown, a good city council or board of commissioners with freedom loving folks or just populist folks that understand that no, we're not going to do this, can nullify that because the enforcement's at the local level.
mhm. Well, one of the things I think that should be in every publicly held position through local, state, or federal is if you campaign on something and you don't do everything in your power to make those campaign promises come true, you should lose your position. Yeah, like I get it, like there's hurdles, but you can still try. You can still write bills. You can still try to push them. You can still go out in your communities and try to get these things going.
You're talking about it. There should be some sort of fiduciary duty for elected people.
Uh, maybe
That's what
maybe
it
not
sounds like to me.
fiduciary,
Like
but
it's similar in that yeah, perhaps it's not really fiduciary in the
like policy
technical
duty.
sense. Yeah.
Like you if you campaign on policies, you need to be busting your ass to make them happen and not
So
just
here comes
grandstand.
the question with that, and this is my anarchist coming out. The is how do you enforce that? How do you enforce that?
You would have I mean, you have to change the laws on the local level. Like I think local level is where you start. Because it's definitely not going to come from top down. It's not gonna trickle down to us. Um,
Right. Yeah.
and
The the problem is that, I mean, this is the issue with just like government in general, is that there's an
right.
when you have power and you are also the enforcement of that power, then there's no incentive to, one, change the rules to something like what you said, or to, even if you did get that rule in place, you got to have an enforcement mechanism that's not related to the person who was elected.
Well, I mean, I know I'm getting ready to say something that's a fantastical dream, but you need to have a good justice system that will come after people in power and give them a fair trial as if they were a regular citizen. But
Okay, but then so how do you balance that justice system as well? This is the problem that you run into, is that, like, so you give something power over another, so now that thing has ultimate power in the end. So now you have to figure out, this is kind of part of the issue. Like with
it's
the
kind
federal
of like
government, it's like we have they call it that they say we have checks and balances, but really they all work in cohorts with each other, right?
yeah,
They're
pretty
not checking
much.
and balancing each other. So what could change to possibly make it so that they have to actually check each other and not work in conjunction with each other?
Hmm. Well, I think you need the separate organizations. The question is, how do you like? I guess you would have to base their funding completely separate from one another, because as far as the executive and legislative branch, a lot of that stuff just goes hand in hand. Like, but mm, I don't know. I feel like on the local level, it's more feasible than
Mhm.
on a larger scale, because in a local level, you get in smaller communities, more people know each other. Um, but then you got to start building that community too. You you definitely have to have a good community that wants to change and they thrive and want to do better and they want to communicate and build something better. So like this might actually be how we end the cult, because if this goes through, these guys are going to be fucking crippled, because if these guys are taking their goods and their services and getting a fair shake for what they're doing and not affected by people who write blogs all day, it's going to force a change. And so maybe stuff like this happening, and it starts happening in other areas around the country, and de and it decouples and makes that split in smaller pockets instead of one big collective pocket of cult left or uh, non-left. Maybe that's the better way to go about it.
I'll throw out this other thought because also been seeing calls for this within the libertarian movement that there needs to be more focus on the sheriff's positions. Sheriffs and local governments tend to not be accountable to each other.
Yep.
So I think that there needs to be a focus there because sheriffs have our level of enforcement, and anybody who's I think I've said it on here before. It's not the laws that matters, the enforcement.
Yep.
Because yeah, it's nothing more. As Michael Malice will tell you, it's nothing more than a letter to Santa Claus if there's no enforcement of it. But
Yeah.
the seeing sheriffs stand up to their local governments, I mean, granted, there wasn't that many, so there needs to be more, and I think that that is a one key avenue that can be used to more peacefully release the pressure from our uh, tyrannical overseers.
Yes, I believe the state legislatures have to agree to it, which I'm pretty sure Idaho's on board. They're just trying to get the Oregon uh, state senators and representatives to go through with it. But I don't know. That would be maybe we should look into that next time. Like,
Yeah,
see,
that'd be some good homework to learn about.
yeah, because is it going to be like what we have now, where Congress can approve, but the Senate can shoot it down, or Congress and the Senate can approve, but the governor's going to shoot it down. He's going to veto it. Like,
Mhm.
does there need to be? Do they have like how far along the chain does it have to go before it can happen? Or can it be like a certain majority that can do it? I'm sure it's all based on each state's individual laws and their constitutions. But yeah, dude, for
Uh,
me,
hold on here. So I see Outlaw saying it would be hard to get a state to willingly give up their House rep seats. Those aren't statewide, like they're not at large statewide seats though. So, for example, a lot of these like eastern places, like in Eastern California, Eastern Oregon, Eastern Washington, are a lot of those districts are already red. It really more affects the Senate because they're statewide, and so like these dense cities tend to give them blue senators.
I think
So
he's talking.
I don't know that I don't think it'll affect as much on the House Rep seats level because those seats would still exist. It just because it'd be under Idaho. I don't know what Oregon.
I think
Hmm.
with the population density that they're proposing, I think Idaho might pick up one seat.
Well,
So
shouldn't it just be more of a shift of seats from Oregon to Idaho?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Oregon will lose one seat, Idaho will pick one up.
Oh, and that's a fair point, Outlaw. Yeah, on the electoral vote side, yeah, that would be something that they would fight back on for sure. Because yeah, most states are winner take all.
Hmm. Yeah, it would be interesting. Yeah, and it would change it changed the electoral college too. I mean, dude, I'm all for it because there has to be some kind of change. Y- Keeping everything status quo like we have been for the past 50 years is it's driving us into a place of future strife and turmoil. And somebody was talking about how it's starting to get bad, but China, they think they're predicting China is going to completely fall off the map soon, like within the next 10 years as far as their economy.
Yeah.
And then we'll see another little uptick. But we're still going to be riding a bubble at that point. Like right now the bubbles get some air is getting let out. If China does fall, it'll inflate it back up a little bit or keep it from going down further, but
If
um
China falls, I feel like that's something we should save for later. That'd be a great topic to think about. It's something I've given some thought to, but not enough, I don't think.
oh yeah. Yeah,
'Cause I
yeah.
gotta remember they're like they're a big exporter. There's a lot of things that come from there. There's a lot of repercussions that do happen if China when China's economy goes under. But I mean that can be both good and bad. You know, for one, like in the long term, I could see uh, some manufacturing coming back to the states. I think that's one thing that we're seeing is globalization is starting to go in the opposite direction now. I think we're
Uh
going to see a lot more of that as the economy, because these cascade effects that we see. Uh, I,
I
I think people are waking up to the fact that we can't live like this.
the one thing I got to push back on that a little bit
Okay.
because that that traumatic thing like 9/11 that happened got us the fucking Patriot Act. And that is
Okay.
not we don't want blind zealotry. Like I think something that hits people more personally at home would be way better. Like as far as holy shit, there's no food. Holy shit, there's no money. Holy shit, I can't feed my family. Holy shit, I can't feed myself. Like that would be I mean, it's not a good thing for that to happen, but I think that would be better for getting people to wake up. Yeah, there
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's definitely fair. We got to be careful what we wish for because it can go either way. Like, yeah, something can wake people up, but then yeah, the Patriot Act. I mean, that abomination still exists.
Yeah. Dude, that's one thing like everyone tried to pretend like the Freedom Caucus was this big uh what insurrection group that had what far right wild policies taking over America. And like, nah, dude, they want to get rid of the things that shouldn't be there for the most part. Like and the left, honestly, I think the left got a lot of pie in their face for that,
Mhm.
because the squad, just those 4 or 5 members, they could have held up Nancy Pelosi and gotten a lot of concessions out of it, but they didn't even try. They took the knee, took it in the ass, and just became puppets and lost their committee assignments. So yeah,
Yeah, I do not feel bad for them.
nope,
I think it's good that they're not on those committees.
not at all. Yeah, the squatty. Yeah,
The squatty potty.
I
I
like
love
that.
it. I love it. That sounds like a T-shirt, Flagrant.
That
Give that one some thought. Yes.
yeah, that it does. Oh man, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I hope things get better, but I just I think it's yeah. I'm with Goodnight. Like I think something bad does need to happen. I just think it needs to hit people on a much more personal level than a catastrophic attack that
Yeah.
didn't independently affect a lot of people. Yeah, that's definitely a T-shirt. I'm gonna. Damn it! I have to write that
Yeah,
down.
make a note of that.
Oh, guys. Speaking of merch, the Legion of Memers will be on the website soon.
Are you serious? You got Legion of Memers?
Yes,
Dude, epic.
I need to message Superman, but
You're gonna have so many good products out. Oh, that's so good.
yeah, they're gonna have hats, sweats, some pullovers, and shirts, and yeah, it should be good. Should be good. I'm a little behind on that, but I should have everything up tomorrow or Tuesday, and then I'm pretty sure Nerdy Ronan runs a lot with them too. So I just added him, and then yeah, we'll go from there. But yeah, we're growing a little bit, which is a good thing. Like I want the fellowship to grow, because like what Gary and them are doing, it's good. What Tim's doing is good. They, whether people want to admit it or not, they are building a group of people that are counter to the mainstream narrative culture.
Yeah, they're doing it in a way that I also like really appreciate. They're letting the market kind of determine, what's good, what's not.
Yep.
I
Like
mean, and they don't always get it right, but you know what? The market has responded. That's what the whole backlash against Tim Pool. I see that as the market responding.
yeah,
It's
dude.
beautiful, and he's course corrected to some degree. We'll see how far he takes it. I think he will, and learn from it. Uh,
Yeah. I and
Nobody's
again,
perfect,
well, I think
so
like
I
we were
can be
talking
a little
about
bit forgiving.
earlier, like I don't think Tim has a lot of firsthand interaction with a lot of this stuff. I think Tim mainly focuses on his segments and then gets told everything else. Cuz he doesn't even know who's coming on, who's getting booked until a couple of days beforehand. And he has nothing to do with the booking either. So, yes, exactly. We the people with money. Well, okay, maybe
By
not
the way,
me,
that Crash Mondo is not me. Uh, I need to change my name. I should put I am Crash Mondo Jr. Crash Mondo Jr. That is Crash Mondo Senior in the chat. He is not an imposter. He is my father.
Ah, Miss Mondo Dad.
Yeah,
We
Daddy
got Mondo
Mondo.
Dad in the chat. How are you doing? When is DOT
Oh,
going to
Crash
inspect the
Daddy. That's what you
railway?
call him Crash
Yeah,
Daddy.
yeah, Crash Daddy. There we go. Yeah, when is DOT going to inspect the railway? Um, the railway system, dude, they need a huge overhaul, because
It needs to.
those
It
workers
needs
got
to be a market thing.
absolutely fucked.
Like the thing is that it's still I don't understand entirely the relationship between like Amtrak and the government, but I mean, other than I guess it's just subsidized,
Mm.
and I guess they just get a bunch of right
Well,
of ways because, which I mean, to some degree that makes sense. But I mean, the fact is that there's not much market competition for them, right? I mean, I
no,
guess you
not at
could
all.
talk about the indirect markets. You know, you can always drive, you can always fly, take the bus, but that's really all there is.
Well, the big thing is,
But I mean, it's basically like it is a monopoly,
yeah,
right?
and it's
Perhaps an
because,
oligopoly. I don't know if there's more than one family that owns them, but yeah, what my dad said. Who owns the tracks?
yeah,
It- Rockefeller family used to be the owner of the tracks back in the early 1900s. Is that still the case? Anybody
yeah,
know?
yeah, that's the big thing outlaw. Like the cargo movement, the goods that they move, and the quantity of goods. That's the big thing because it's way cheaper to do it over rail than it is anything else. And you've got a dedicated route where you don't have to worry about traffic and shit like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that.
did you see that story about the train derailment in Ohio and the
Mm-mm,
chemical cloud that is spewed into the atmosphere?
I did not.
Yeah, look that up. It's pretty nasty looking. The cloud of smoke that's been going up. I don't know how big the. Let's see. Yeah, bring up outlaws. He's filling us in.
Cruising out of control burn. Holy shit. Let's see.
5 days
Let's
after the
find.
train carrying vinyl chloride derailed and exploded near the border.
Jeez, man. Is there not? Why is everything left leaning on the front page or the first page?
Uh, which page are you on? Are you on YouTube? Or are you on
No, the
Twitter?
first page of Google.
Just Google, because it's
Yeah.
Google. It's
Jeez.
Google. Come on, man.
Just one non-left outlet, please.
Hold on, let me see if I can bring it up. These guys have posted about it. All
There we
right,
go.
bring up my screen share.
Norfolk Southern seems to be operating hand in hand with the government in this area, going so far as to arrest reporters covering certain details of the incident. What the
Yeah,
hell?
that's the wild one of the wild things too is that they're like I don't understand that I
Wow.
never understand. Like, what do you have to hide?
Dude, that looks fucking bad.
Yeah, it is bad.
So what? Okay, so what's the truth that's going on here? Let's take a look at this. Let's see if they go over it in this New York Post article. Toxic chemicals released in the air Monday. Controlled release of dangerous vinyl chloride from the 5 rail cars. Flames and thick balls of smoke to be seen in the sky. Hours before the release, authorities were once again going door to door to make sure residents in the area had evacuated following previous. What? What do you mean following previous instructions to flee the area? Was
Read that
this
again.
a, residents were warned to flee the area before the crash? Hours before the vinyl chloride was released, authorities were once again going door to door to make sure residents in the area had fled.
Or, I
Okay,
mean, they're
well,
talking about the controlled release that they did after the fire
oh, okay, okay, okay.
because they don't have apparent. I guess they don't have a different way of dealing with it. They're just gonna let it burn instead of
Yeah.
control it.
So far, no worrisome air quality. Well, hey, we can trust the EPA on that. They did a bang-up job on 9/11. Super good job. Venting and burning process have been detected from the scene. Control burn would send phosgene and hydrogen chloride in the air, with phosgene a highly toxic gas that could lead to vomiting and trouble breathing. Soviet soldiers used it as a weapon in World War One. Well, no shit, you can't control where it goes. I mean, okay, so my first question is, aren't there like protocols for stuff like this?
Yes.
Like you would think with something like that, they plan for, okay, if a derailment happens or an explosion happens or a fire happens, this is what we need to stop it as soon as possible. So why are
No,
people getting
maybe we'd have
arrested?
to. I don't know. We'd have to look up their emergency action plans.
Yeah.
See what it actually said.
Let's see if we can find that.
Outlaw was saying earlier something about how alarms didn't go off. Like there should have been automated sensors that alerted them to a fire that caused the derailment. Is that right, Outlaw?
Okay, so let's see if we can see something on
The
this
controlled
video.
detonation prevents leaking. It is consumed in the fireball. So that is the protocol.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's going to be limits on that, right? So you still got to evacuate for a 2-mile radius.
It's extremely flammable from explosive mixtures with the air. You're involved in fire. I'll see.
Wait, on the tracks, Outlaw? Fire occurred on the tracks prior to derailment. From there, about 48 hours after, there's a possible major explosion, so they are trying to mitigate it. So, let me get this straight, Outlaw. Are you saying there was a fire and nobody thought to stop this train that was heading straight into the fire? That's exactly what it sounds like you just said.
Hmm. Yeah, it looks like it's just basic firefighting procedures. But it makes sense what your dad said, like letting it burn and transfer into the phosgene, because that makes it more of a chemical irritant than a toxin, like, or severe toxin.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, that okay, yeah. That's going to be interesting to look at, because
Yeah.
why are people supposedly getting arrested for telling the truth about it? Like, what is the truth that we're missing there?
Yeah.
That is interesting. Yeah,
You have an
well,
axle fire sensor should have alerted the engineers. But as we know, these train companies operate heavily on subsidies
yeah,
and
it's
probably skimp on maintenance, I would imagine. I'm gonna just throw that out there.
Well, I mean, aren't they having trouble just getting people to weld the tie rods back together, or the tracks where there's damage and needs to be maintenance?
Was that just from the labor shortage?
Yeah, I guess. I thought I heard or read somewhere that they're having trouble on some track lines just getting them repaired.
Hmm. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. There's been a lot of talk for years of shortage in skilled labor. Plumbers, electricians, welders, just people for normal types of construction. Because everybody was told, go to college, get a useless degree.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Get a degree in English, because we need 50 million English teachers. No, man. Dude, I am more. I think I'm gonna let my daughter get through elementary school, and then she's going to homeschool because
Okay, I got you, Outlaw. Miles before Ohio derailment, train axle was on fire. Video shows surveillance footage appears to show a malfunction on train before it derailed with hazardous chemicals. Um, but yeah, and I guess the sensors didn't alert anybody, so they just kept going, and then they derailed. Because I'm guessing because the axle eventually broke from the fire, and if I had to venture a guess.
yeah, exactly. Yep, 18. Yep, that right there. 18-year-olds in control of billion-dollar assets in the military needs degree to do the same job at home. Yep.
Yep.
The good thing is a lot of people are realizing like college is pretty fucking useless now. Unless you're going into a specialized field, it's pretty fucking useless because on the job experience to me for and because I worked at a manufacturing plant and you'd have people coming in there with uh like they'd be in college or they'd be going to college and they wouldn't know shit. You got some dude who's just been working there for 5 years and he's graduated from high school who knows more than uh the college grads.
Yeah, I remember fairly early in my career, I was working in government construction. There was a new intern who had just finished his master's, and all of the engineers were just trying to pass him off on each other because he was about the dumbest bag of rocks I had ever come across that actually had studied engineering. I'm like, and he couldn't read a schematic. I'm like, are you kidding me? Can you actually not read a schematic, or are you just trying to troll me because you want to be lazy? I mean, it could have been the latter, I guess, where he just wanted to,
Well,
where he
even
was
then,
trying to
like,
play off being stupid.
wh-
I struggle to believe that someone was really just.
why keep that? Why would you?
Oh, I mean,
Why
he
would
got
you
let
stand
go.
it?
He did not last very long, and it's hard to fire people from the government. I can tell you.
Yeah,
But he did not last long.
it's like the butter bar trying to tell you how to do your job when they just got out of the academy. Or
My dad will appreciate that. He's a retired NCO.
well, that's kind of like NCOs telling
No, it's office
or
like a lieutenant
COs.
telling the NCO what to
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
yeah. The COs telling the NCOs how the op's gonna run when they've never actually stepped foot in a combat situation. Well, dude, um,
Ready to wrap this one up?
yeah, man, why not? I think
Been
that's
fun.
yeah, it's good, guys. Thank you for chiming in
Well, hold
and
on.
chatting
Any
with me.
bets on the Eliza Blue situation? Something new coming up this
Oh,
coming
okay.
week? Because I didn't think it would last this long, but here we are at 3 weeks, and it's still.
I
Is this
totally,
the end of it? Like, is she just gonna finally just like fade away and just go
yeah,
away?
yeah. I think so. I think she's going to try to get rid of as much. The only thing I see that will continue to drag it out is people who
All right,
seek
I
damages
got you,
against
Outlaw.
her.
He sent me the video of the fire, by the way.
Oh, nice, nice.
Did you send him on Discord? Oh, I see it. Never mind. There it is. Add you as a friend. I'll have to change my or there we go. Now I got it up. No thanks. Video.
Dude, 20 miles, 20 miles. Dude, that should have been reported.
I'm gonna maximize this.
Yeah, because that train is not moving that fast. And if it was seen 20 miles before then, especially going through places like that, somebody should have reported it.
There, holy crap! Look at that.
Yeah, dude, come on. There's no way somebody didn't see that.
What time is? There's no timestamp on here. I mean, I'm wondering. I don't know if anybody monitors cameras on that system, or is that security footage from? So that might even be the railroad's security footage. It might be just a nearby place of
What
business that they caught it from.
I tell you what
Oh, did we talk about the UFO over? There's a UFO over China. What is that new? Anybody got a link on this? Send it to me. Oh, here we go. Meanwhile, okay, well, somebody's looking that up. Send it to Flagrant if you got that, or he'll find it. Here's the diagram. Let's see, video showing fiery axle, the hotbox detector, another hotbox detector all the way on the other side, and then the derailment. Wow.
So, let's see. Where did this happen? East Palestine, Ohio?
Well, y'all are looking at that. I'm gonna look up UFO.
Show me. Show me railroad tracks. Let's see. Did I get something? Yeah, sorry guys. I'm trying to find the railroad track.
I'm trying to find the China UFO.
Dun 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 dun. Do 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 do. Where? 165, 51. And there's 51. Where's 165?
All right. Well, we don't have much information on the China UFO, but it's apparently over the Yellow Sea, and China seems likely to try and shoot it down.
Oh, really?
To find a
Okay. All right. So I found the railroad track line. Dude, there is no way somebody didn't see this. Sorry.
I mean, my thought was just like maybe if it's in the middle of the night and someone was asleep at the switch.
Yeah, maybe. But dude, look at this. So this is about the area. This is a train track right here. Okay. And if you go out to 1 mile, like you're off the screen. Like 20 miles is off the screen. So The track goes through here, and then through there, and then down. Yeah, dude, there's no way people didn't see this before it got there.
See you. Good night.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. I'm not finding much on the China UFO front yet. Just, I think I see also an accusation of an American spy balloon. What are we doing sending balloons across the Pacific?
Dude, it's all bullshit, man.
Yeah.
There's so many satellites. The only difference is like satellites. You have certain windows. My buddy said this was another thing too, because he did the radar exploitation, and satellites, you've only got certain windows of the day that you can use them to see certain parts of the globe. And balloons, you can control them a little bit more and make them stationary. But it's still, that's such old tech. Like, why would you use a fucking balloon?
Yeah.
Surely to God there is a, or dude, I
In
wonder.
the age where we have the SR, the what was it? The Blackbird.
SR-71. Is that what it is?
Or hold on. The SR-117 or
Yeah, the SR-71
no,
Blackbird.
the SR-71 is the Blackbird. I'm getting it confused with the Stealth.
Oh, B-52?
No, not
Or
the
B-2. Yeah, it's the
yeah, the
Northrop
Blackbird's
Grumman
the one that
B-2.
can fly up and
So the Blackbird's a stealth
beyond
stealth too.
yeah, F-117. Thank you. That's the other one I was thinking of. But that's not really a reconnaissance. That's more of a bomber, isn't it?
Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Well, the F-22, that's a stealth fighter. But
Right, they call it a fighter, but it's not really a fighter. My dad's saying it is a reconnaissance. Is it a fighter? Like you don't dogfight in a stealth fighter, do you?
F-22, yeah.
No. F-117. I thought the F-117 was a bomber.
Nighthawk. Yeah, it's a twin-engine stealth attack aircraft.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, like even drones, man. Like, I'm sure
Yeah.
camera technology and stuff like that, you could just take a fucking little drone that bounces off of satellite signals and you can control it from a high orbit or a high altitude.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, what are they distracting us from?
Yeah.
Like, if this is a psyop, it's really not.
It's
Yet.
probably an op to
Then
start the conflict, dude. Honestly, if that was my guess, because I
Patriot
mean,
Act 2.0.
yeah, dude. I mean, if you think about it, if China is crashing and America is not far behind it, what's the best way to build that up? Blow people the fuck up. Either that, or they're trying to make another avenue for wealth extraction, because they have been really good at that with Ukraine.
I could see that.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing too. Like, why the fuck did they, dude? That could not have been a that could have been just a decoy satellite and had a payload in it, dude.
Mhm.
Like, why are you wasting the fucking time? There's no way that should have happened. And then they tried to come out and say that Trump, well, it happened 3 times with Trump. Nah, dude, it did not. Not at all. And if it did, it was not declassified. But when what was it? His DNI said no, that never happened.
Yeah, they've claimed this ability for a few years now. I
Yeah.
remember when that first came out.
Well, the reason I don't think there's any kind of radiological payload is because there are sensors that should pick that up way before it happened. But somebody could miss it. I don't know. I don't fucking trust. I don't trust fucking anything anymore. It's all a fucking op. It's all a fucking op. That's all it is. Ask Bezos why he's in. That is a good question. But yeah, so as far as the Eliza stuff, yeah, I think she's going to get away with it unless some people file suit against her.
Well, what do you
But
mean
I
by
don't
get
even
away
know
with
if
it
they
though? As in,
can.
like, just nothing will happen to her, or
Yeah, she'll lose her infamy, but I still think she'll retain a certain following, and it because well, I don't know. A lot of people are shaming the shit out of her, so maybe that's a good thing. Maybe she will trot off into irrelevance, which would be the best thing to happen. Or maybe it will make her actually do some actual advocacy work
oh,
instead
I
of
doubt that.
yeah, well,
I mean, I could see it as something that could wake her up, but if she actually did kind of wake up and repent, for lack of a better term, I think she'd be more likely to just kind of stay off the internet at that point. If anything, just out of shame.
yeah. Or at least like dude, that's the thing. Like, is there repentance and is there restitution or
All right,
what do you call
so
it?
Outlaw, in regards to the potential charity fraud, because she's never actually asked for money for this fake charity or
Yeah.
non-existent charity. So I don't think that anybody could nail her on that because it never existed, and because she's never, well, she has claimed for it to exist. She's never actually fundraised for it, at least that I've seen.
Hmm.
I there. Oh, from
From
Mr.
Mr. Beast.
Did she actually? So I guess the question is, do we have a receipt that she actually took money from Mr. Beast for
Yeah.
that? And then yeah, then that would be the case. I haven't seen that. Um,
Well, it's
because
not
there was
just a
only two
receipt,
tweets
but
about it, right? One was on Adam Yang's
Andrew Yang.
Andrew Yang's, right, the tweet thread when she claimed that she opened it, and I think that's the other one was okay. So never got the money, and I guess the question would be: is intent to commit, which sometimes that's a crime, intent to commit. I don't know if that'd be the case in
Um
charity fraud.
Uh, I don't think that'd be hard to prove because she could say she was in the works of making the charity a feasible thing, or yeah,
Hmm,
I think there's I don't know. Oh,
because
charity fraud doesn't require you to have got the money. It's presenting yourself as a charity to get. Yeah, that's misrepresentation.
yeah.
So that is conspiracy too,
So maybe if somebody decides to take up that case, it'd have to probably come from the Department of Justice.
or at least the
Because
state.
who else would have standing to file suit or to press charges? It'd have to just be, I think, just the Department of Justice.
Hmm. Let's check it out.
Legal Mindsets going over it. So yeah, I'll probably watch that. I'd be interested to see.
Hmm.
All right. Anyway, I drug this on for another like 15 minutes.
No, that's all good, man. Oh, Crash, where can people find you, sir?
Follow me on Twitter, Crash Mondo JR. Also, go ahead and follow me on Twitch. I've been mulling over streaming again. I did buy the new Wizard game. So maybe
You
sometime this week
bigot.
I did it. I'm such a bigot. I'm trying to come up with I need to come up with a clever name
Did you
before
see
I
what Gary
start.
put for his?
No, what did you put?
It was Gary Potter and the Bigot Stone.
That is so good. I feel like all the clever names have already been taken. My friend Derek, I saw his post on Twitter. He put he had a female character, but the name was once and man.
You should name your character like Turf.
Turf. I'm a turf, or just yeah. I'll come up with something good.
Let's see.
Oh, gee, he's a fascist.
You can get the Austin Powers a lot of Turf. Uh,
So yeah, follow me there. If I get followers on Twitch, I might be more inclined to actually take up that venture instead of playing the game privately.
um, guys, you can find me on Twitter at Flagrant Trigger, not Triggers. Flagrant Trigger. Everything else is Flagrant Triggers though. And of course, stop by flagranttriggers.com, where we have all the good stuff. We got Chrissy Mayer, we got X-Ray Girl, we've got me, we've got Lila, we've got the Libertarian Party of Ukalisa County. There's Nerdy Ronan, Crip Daddy. Crip Daddy, yeah. His shirt's hilarious. God canceled me before Twitter did. And
That's a
he's
fair point,
still.
Outlaw. I hear Twitch is where gay goes, and Rumble is where the ballers go. I
Yeah,
can't stream on Rumble though because you have to. Well, I'll create a channel there. I'll definitely at least get a channel started. Uh, but you have to meet certain minimums. You have to have like a 25 subscriber count before you can even stream. So at best, I could just do clips from a Twitch stream for now. But thanks for bringing that up. All right, sorry, Flagrant. Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
Finish your plug.
Nah, it's just there's Nerdy. We got a nice bright yellow shirt now. I actually like that color. It's pretty good. And then under X-Ray Girl. Wait. Not X-Ray Girl. Where is Mark? Mark the Cyborg. He's got a movie. Fear the Reaper. Indie film project that he did himself with some other people's. We need to do a stream
Watch party.
watch party, yeah. We need to do a watch party of that. But yeah, flagranttriggers.com. We're gonna have more stuff coming out. Like I said, Legion of Memers is joining. They're going to bring a lot of different types of merch. So there's going to be sweats and hoodies and hats. So we're going to be adding those. I should everything should be out by Tuesday. I just got to let Soupstone. I'm a little behind on it. But yeah, it's growing. It's thanks to you guys. And dude, the fellowship's growing too. And if anybody's watching who is in the fellowship, if you get some merch and you want to send me a picture and have your socials on it, then by all means send it, because I'll put it on the site. And like, because not only would it be product promotion, but like I want the fellowship to grow too. So I have no problem putting fellowship members pictures up and with links to their socials to help them grow too. Because yeah, I mean, I believe in what Gary and them are pushing for, and taking culture back, and uh, bringing things back home instead of letting it run rampant out in the streets of chaos and wokeism. Oh, I guess that's it.
All right.
We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.